Gaming laptops usually fall into two categories. You have the cheaper ones that are very often unattractively designed, or the more expensive ones, but those come with an unrealistic price increase. Today we're checking out the Lenovo Y530, and it has a great minimalistic design, at least for a gaming laptop, and for specifications it's a pretty good device. And this is probably one of the best entry-level gaming laptops that you can purchase for this amount of money, and you can find the link in the video description, so make sure you check it out. Hey, Martin here, and let's get started. The configuration that we have over here is the Lenovo Y530, and it is packed with the Intel i7 processor. It comes with 16 gigs of RAM. It also has the GTX 1050 card, and there are multiple configurations possible. So you can choose the i5, you can have more or less storage, or maybe the 1050 Ti or the 1060 model for the video card. It is also possible to go for a 144Hz display in case you're into that. But I will leave a link in the video description where you can find all the models available, and also that's where I got mine from. So if you're gonna decide to purchase it, this is the big box where it comes into, and if you open the box, the laptop is actually nicely protected by some foam and also some sort of a sleeve. And below the laptop you first got some sort of compartment, and in the compartment you will find a AC, of course, and you have some paperwork, a warranty, and a user manual. The first thing that I noticed right away was that Lenovo stopped using the red and black design thing that I had going on for multiple years, and I'm happy that they finally stepped down using this. Now you just have some sort of a black and white theme. You see this on the keyboard, but also on top of the laptop, because you see that the Legion logo now has a small LED built into the O, and that lights up when the laptop is turned on. The laptop is made from a plastic, basically all around is made from plastic, and the top surface has some sort of radial pattern originating from the Legion logo. Overall, the laptop feels very durable, which is a good thing, and so hopefully it will last quite some time. Of course, this is not a scientific test to prove the plastic, but it looks to be really well made, and I'm positively surprised about this, even though it doesn't feel very premium like some other laptops do, like MacBooks with all the aluminum, etc. But if you open the laptop, you get to see this display, and that's the first thing that surprised me again, because when you open the laptop you see the bezels, and those are relatively small for a gaming laptop, and you see that also the screen is cracked if you look carefully, and it is kind of annoying. On the left side you have 2 to 3 millimeters, and on the right side it is a 5 to 6 millimeters of black bezel. And when I saw the screen, it kind of reminded me from the Dell XPS lineup with the small side bezels and only a thicker bezel at the bottom. And that's where you can find the webcam as well, which is kind of annoying because the moment you open the webcam you see your nose holes, and I think that says enough. Now the other interesting thing is that you can flip the screen all the way 180 degrees, and that's not very often seen on gaming laptops, let alone other laptops. So I'm very pleased with the hinges. They feel really durable, and I think they will last quite some time. Now I kind of like the MacBook style with the all glass screen display. It looks really premium, and on one hand it's sad that I don't implement this on the gaming laptop, the Y530 from Lenovo, but on the other hand the device is finally a little bit smaller, and that's for a gaming laptop a very nice trend that is happening right now. So it's a bit more portable and a bit more compact, so you can bring it to school or to work. And with the new design that looks a little bit more professional and minimalistic without all the blah 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 from the RGB, etc. typical gaming laptop, I think that it is a very good move from Lenovo to change the design quite drastically. Now since we're talking about the bezels, the display, etc., the display has a few downsides. The first one is that the brightness can't go very high, which is really annoying at times when it's really bright outside and it reflects inside your house or something. You really have to close the curtains in order to see it properly. The other thing is, and that's something I noticed right away when I booted the laptop for the first time, I have quite some black backlight bleeding in the lower right corner. Wow, in the lower right corner, which is in my eyes not a very good quality control from Lenovo, and it's the same with the cracked screen that I already mentioned before. Now I also want to go back to the hinges, because they changed the design quite a bit. They push it a little bit forward or backward, depending from where you want to see it, of course, but let's say they moved a little bit more to the keyboard, and this is better for the thermals. And then the second thing is that now all the ports are on the back of the laptop, And that is a very nice thing, so your desk is now more free of cables. Now luckily they left a USB port on the right side and a USB port plus audio jack on the left side for easy access to your mouse, for example, or maybe some headphones or an external hard disk. So that's a good thing going on. Now on the back you will find first of all the Type-C port, then you have a Thunderbolt port, a USB, HDMI, the Ethernet, and then you have your charging port, which is really nice because it keeps your desk clean once again, but not completely, because they didn't include an SD card reader, so you get yourself an adapter from somewhere. I don't like where this is going, especially on a Windows device that is from this size. I think that it should be included, especially because the device is pretty good for editing some photos or videos. Yeah. Besides shrinking the bezels, they also shrink the keyboard, because usually you have a full-size keyboard and no number pad, or you have a cramped keyboard with a number pad. But now what Lenovo did is very interesting, because they moved the number pad on top of the arrow keys. And I really do like the keyboard, to be honest. It has a decent amount of travel, and I did have to get used to the new layout with the number pad, because from your muscle memory you're just like, and you're like, doesn't work. So you have to get used to it in case you use the number pad quite a lot. Below the keyboard you will find the mouse pad or trackpad. And the first thing that I have to say is that personally I really like the bigger trackpads from the MacBooks, for example. This one is really small in my eyes, and I wish they made it a little bit bigger. The second thing that I have to mention is, even though it is really precise and really nice to use the trackpad, they have hardware buttons below it, and those hardware buttons are really loud, like almost annoyingly loud. Let's try it out. The last thing that I want to mention about the keyboard, the mousepad and the materials, etc. is that it has some sort of a nice soft touch to it. But I also have to say that the moment you touch your hair and then your laptop, let's say, all the grease is like sticking a little bit on it, so I'm not sure how long this will last or it will stay clean if you use the laptop for multiple years, but then again, who cleans his laptop? Yeah, that's the question of the day. Who's cleaning like on a monthly basis their laptop? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now you just have some overall. Now at the bottom of the laptop and below the trackpad you have those ventilation holes over here, but they're actually your speakers. The mids and highs are pretty okay, they sound very crispy and they're decent enough for a gaming laptop, but the lower frequencies are just not well represented, and even though they say that it's audio by Harman, it's just not good enough for a gaming laptop. But if you're into gaming, I think that you will have a nice gaming headset anyways that you will use. Else, if you listen to music for 15 minutes or so, it's okay, but it doesn't sound rich or full or something. The volume goes loud, just like the fan speed, that is approximately on a full load 50 decibels, which is for a gaming laptop actually pretty okay. When the laptop is idle, it is around 28 to 30 decibels, so that is pretty decent for a idle modus laptop. Now the other interesting thing is that Lenovo built into the software an option to control the fan speed yourself, which is something I kind of really like and you don't often see it in laptops. In case you wanna upgrade or swap out some hardware yourself, you can do it actually relatively easy yourself. There are just some normal screws that you can remove, but the only thing is that I have to warn you is that because of those holes over here, you need to be careful because they snap pretty easily, so be careful when you remove the back cover. The moment you remove the back cover, you have access to basically everything from your Wi-Fi chip to the RAM slots. You can access the NVMe slot, or you can access the 2.5-inch SATA drive, for example. You can also easily access the battery in case you want to replace it yourself, which I think you would love to do after a couple of years, but that battery isn't great in general. It is only 52.5 watt-hour of battery, and that lasted me for 3 to 5 hours of on-screen time. Now this is of course depending on the brightness that you've set, the type of applications that you use, are you on Wi-Fi or not. It depends on a whole range, but in general it lasts between 3 to 5 hours and not a full day, and that's for a lot of people a big deal breaker. And I know it's a gaming laptop and those are quite often stationary, you just plug it in, but since it has such a minimalistic design and a more professional look, you want to bring it to work or school, and if you travel like 1 hour to school, work and 1 hour back, you're like almost already on an empty battery. And of course you can charge it in the meantime, but I think that Lenovo could do a little bit better with this laptop battery, but yeah. Now most of you probably here because of the gaming, you want to know how it is. And in one word, it is pretty okay. And in 3 words, it is pretty okay. So you can't play on ultra or high for the majority of the games, but at least quite often if you tweak the sliders a little bit, you can play on medium or high settings. But it really depends on if you have any other apps in the background running, let's say. If you play in medium, you often get around 60 frames per second, but if you play the more demanding games on high, you drop down to 20 to 30 frames per second. It really depends on the game itself. Gaming is really nice to do on the laptop if you set it on a medium level. If you set it on high, on ultra, you will get some stutters or lag or frame drops, but I think that is very reasonable and normal for the GTX 1050. If you want to get yourself an ultra high gaming experience, there's also the 1050 Ti, or you go for the 1060 that's already released, and Lenovo has multiple configurations possible, so in case you want to go for that 120 frames per second, it is possible with a different graphics card, but at least you need this 144 Hz screen as well. So if you have some deeper pockets, you can go for it, but for this budget entry device, what it basically is, it is pretty decent. The last thing that I want to add to this is that the heat production is managed really well, and the same for the fan noises, and it is really pleasant to game on, so don't worry about the heat production or about the fan noise. Of course 50 decibels is quite a bit, but it is still pretty okay if you just use a headset and you play around, and I've seen many other laptops that have a fan that is blasting way louder. Lenovo did many great things with this laptop, and I think that the most important one is the design. Right now it's thinner than your average gaming laptop, and performance is uncommonly steady, and temperatures, along with pleasingly noise levels, never really get out of hand. The bezels as well as the footprint are smaller than the previous model. It's just that the battery doesn't last for a full day, and that my display got quite some issues and is not as bright as I wished. In the end, compromise is the name of the game when it comes about purchasing just any kind of laptop, especially when it comes to gaming machines. I think that this is definitely one of the most appealing ones to anyone either purchasing their very first gaming machine, or maybe perhaps a very reasonable capable laptop that can play games really well and that doesn't look like a gaming machine. I think that Lenovo did a very good job here with this entry-level gaming machine that is available for a very aggressive price tag, and it will definitely hit the competitors, so make sure you check the price via the link in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have some questions, remarks, or maybe you want to share a question or maybe share your thoughts, let me know down in the comment section below, and then I hope to see all of you in the next one.